Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
It's a pleasure to finally sit in front of you and experience you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Even though you're not really sitting in front of me, I understand the sentiment. But thank you.
Sitting
and it is a
inside
pleasure
of
to
you.
interact with your energy as well.
Okay. I want to bounce back to a question about the Indigo Children
Bounce away.
and the fact of the reflection on the screen and the T-shirt. So
Yes.
connected here.
Yes.
Seems that there is a connection of off-planet beings communicating to us.
Yes.
So when we think about the Indigo Children,
Yes.
are they of this higher vibrational frequency because they've come through some genetic change, some extraterrestrial change, some higher power from the vibrational tuning fork that you're speaking of, or is there some sort of genetic manipulation somewhere?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes to all of it. There are different ways that different individuals have chosen to create their participation, make connections to different sources to bring through different levels and methods and forms of these energies, different ways in which they have tuned the bodies genetically, energetically, to be able to do these things. There are different stories and different ways of doing this for different children, different individuals. Each chose whatever path would be the path of least resistance to allow them to accomplish what needed to be accomplished. So all of the above. Does that help you?
Thank you, yes.
Thank you.
And I wanted to ask a question about the reflection on the screens that are now on the minds of everyone. It's the Mel Gibson film.
All right, we understand what you are talking about.
And it feels to me that there's a reprogramming going on, that there's an opening of many, many doors.
Yes.
There's supposedly a new way of looking at old information, and
Yes.
I say to myself, what Bible did this come from? I mean, that's not from the Bible that I read.
That is correct.
And the intensity is so beyond.
Yes.
I cannot believe that if I were there in that time witnessing it, that I wouldn't have exploded, screamed out, reacted, tried to stop, get involved somehow.
Well, you did. And you were stoned for your effort.
Well, is that why no one up on that screen spoke out, because they would have gotten
Yes.
stoned?
You must understand that in some ways was a relatively accurate portrayal of the oppression of the times and the fear of the time.
Well, it seemed to me that everyone was angry and everyone was guilty.
It isn't an issue of guilt. It's an issue of fear. It's an issue of being put in touch with the great degree of fear that those individuals had within themselves at that time.
And the fear was of
Many different
Caesar
things.
and the
different
soldiers.
things. Not only fear of the culture in which they lived, not only fear of the government in which they lived, but fear of themselves. Not wanting to know themselves that deeply as the reflection they were being given by the individual known as Jesus, by the individuals known as Buddha, by the individuals known as Krishna, by the individuals throughout history in that sense, who were more than willing to reflect the true depth of your connection to the infinite, but in recognizing at the same time that that reflection often generates great fear within the individuals who are then not willing to look at that depth. It is one of the reasons why we keep our distance. And this is not meant as a judgment. It is simply recognized that the idea of a higher vibration forcing itself on a vibration that is not ready to really look at itself on the whole could in some senses force things to the surface that the individuals may not be ready and willing to integrate, and it could cause psychic shock and complete mental shutdown. And to some degree, that is some of what happened in that time frame. What they were seeing was such a reflection of unconditional acceptance and love that they were in psychic shutdown, could not accept it. You understand?
Wow, yes.
But that's all right. It was understood that the events would continue to leak into your society until such time as it could be understood and integrated. in a positive and constructive way. Now, certainly, everything that has come up in the idea of what is called your religions is not an accurate portrayal of what the individuals around whom the religions are based were often even saying. And that is why there is so much deconstruction going on nowadays about what those individuals were all really about. But there is some consolidation going on now and more spiritual understanding of how to view what the original individuals throughout history were actually saying that simply could not be interpreted in the language of the time, in the understanding of the time. One of the strongest consolidations that sums up what all those individuals were actually saying in those times that could not be understood but can be understood now is a book that exists upon your planet called Tomorrow's God. Are you familiar with it? Are you familiar with what is called the Conversations with God series?
Yes.
Tomorrow's God is the latest one.
Oh, that's his new book. Neil,
You will find in Tomorrow's God a succinct description of the difference between how yesterday's definition of God will differ from tomorrow's definition of God. And it is very much in alignment with where all of you are going. So it might be worth your while to flip through the pages and see how you resonate to it. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. And? Did you have something else to say?
No, thank you so very much.
Oh, all right.
May I-
Thank you.
Hello?
And to you, good day.
Hi. There's been